Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned?
I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you today. And I did have a nice time discussing with the board, the club here, and really learned a lot about the projects that you're doing in the community. And I have to tell you that, you know, the refugee project, the angels that you were doing, angels for Santa, Secret Angels. It's really an interesting project. And I know that you did a big initiative a few years ago in helping to establish that center. When someone talks about the poverty level, and I've been involved with United Way for a number of years, you think, well, poverty level, but what is it? And you know, the poverty level is over $12,000 a year. And you know, so that if you have a family who's at the poverty level, it's an individual, it's $12,000. A two family with one child, $16,000. You know, you can't live on that kind of money, and you know, those people really are desperate. So, you know, I appreciate everything that you do for these people in your community, and y'all are doing a lot. You're making a difference in Lancaster City. Today I'm going to talk to you about the Rotary Foundation, the Polio Plus campaign. Our district conference is coming up in the spring, the international conference, and then I'm going to talk about Rotary's strategic planning process. Okay, they're getting there, so. I can go ahead and we'll do the slides and we'll catch up with you in a minute. But the transformational work that Rotarians do is made possible through your donations to the Rotary Foundation. Half of the money that you donate to the Rotary Foundation's annual fund comes back to the district and is used to support the district club grants, which your club participates in, the district's matching funds for global grants, which y'all are involved with global grants, the Global Scholarship Program, and Rotary's #1 initiative, polio eradication. Last year, your club donated over $36,000 to the Rotary Foundation, and I want to thank you and commend you for doing that. Rotary makes it easy for people to give money to the Rotary Foundation, either through the annual fund, the Polio Plus fund, or even the endowment fund. And you can go on Rotary.org and look up donate, and you can make a one-time or reoccurring donation on your credit cards. It's really a way, and I really didn't get into the ideas of how you actually raise your money, but I know in some members, some clubs, it's you make a big donation at one time. But Rotary makes it easier to make a donation where you can do it either on a reoccurring thing, say $10 a month or something like that on your credit cards. And for certainly younger members in Rotary, it's easier to manage their finances when they can spread it out over a period of time. So, you know, if you haven't done it this way, you certainly is a way I encourage people to use the Rotary.org site to make the donation to the Rotary Foundation. This year we did the Pints for Polio again, and your club participated in that. And Pints and the Polio Day, World Polio Day, was the 25th of October. I had asked clubs to either do something themselves or partner with another club to do something to raise polio. And throughout the district, we had 27 events during the month of October and really into the first part of November. So it was a very active period of time of promoting Rotary's work for polio eradication. I had one Rotarian that told me that he wasn't really all that interested in doing pints of polio because he didn't drink beer, so he really wasn't that interested in that. But he said, I would eat a pint of ice cream for polio. So I said, go for it. You know, you can do. I think anything you can do is great. So I was telling this story to the Southern New York Rotary Club. It's one of the first clubs that I visited this summer, and there's a small club. Their club is 20 some odd members. They call themselves small but mighty. And there was a Rotarian that got up and raised his hand, and he said, I own 3 ice cream shops in the area, Northern Maryland and Southern Pennsylvania. He said, I do fundraisers for other organizations. And he said, you know, I never thought about doing something for polio. And he said, I think I'm going to use I'm going to use the polio, the ice cream thing for polio and do that this year. And I said, well, maybe next year we'll just leave the beer mug off the thing and just put pints for polio. And I did have another club that said, it was in Littlestown, they wanted to know if they could sell pints of soup. And I said, do whatever you want to do, be creative. The idea is really to raise the money for our polio eradication. As you know, in 2017, Rotary committed to raise another $50 million a year for polio eradication. And that $50 million is going to be matched again, continue to be matched by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and they're doing $300 million. So over the 3 years, we're going to raise $450 million for polio eradication. At the Atlanta Convention, when this was announced, other countries in the world pledged to support Rotary in the eradication of polio, and that morning, nearly $1.5 billion was pledged for the eradication of polio. Rotary is still immunizing nearly 430 million children a year against polio. So even though we're coming down to the number of cases we have, it's still a lot of immunizations that are going on in all the countries that we have. We have 3 countries that are endemic: Nigeria, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. And last year, I think we had a total of 23 to 27 cases. I'm not sure exactly the number. I had it written down, but I don't have it now. And it was really felt that this would be the year that we would come down to single digits, but we haven't. Nigeria, I'll give you an update on that. Nigeria's been polio-free for 2 years. They're in their 3rd year. If they continue this throughout this year, they will be declared polio-free. Their last case occurred on August the 21st, 2016. So they really are doing a great job. They came close to it a number of years ago. They had 2 years behind them, and the 3rd year they had a case, and they had to start all over because it requires 3 years of being polio-free to be declared no longer endemic. The other 2 countries are Afghanistan and Pakistan. And Afghanistan, unfortunately, has had 19 cases this year, which was more than they had last year. And so there's been some mass immunization days have been held throughout Afghanistan trying to curtail this outbreak. And Pakistan has had 8 cases. So we have a total now of 27 cases this year. This past week there were no new cases, and you can look online to polio cases, and you can look each week. There's a new what's going on each week is reported out on the internet. So last year there were no new cases. Last week there were no new cases. So we're looking forward to that. Hopefully next year we'll be able to drop that number down. And I think, and certainly you're going to see it in your lifetime where there's no longer polio. But in the very near future, you're going to see it drop down to single digits. The district conferences is something to put on your calendar. This is the district conference that's going to be held in Hershey on April the 12th and 13th. It's springtime, and it's going to coincide with springtime in Hershey. So the gardens will be open, the Hershey Park will be open, so everything in Hershey will be in full spring for that weekend. So just put your dates on your calendar, and you'll shortly be hearing more about what we're planning to do that weekend. It's going to be a Friday evening and Saturday is what it's going to be. Following that in June is going to be the International Conference in Hamburg, Germany. It's going to be the first week of June 1st through the 5th. And I know the registration's on, you can go on Rotary International and register for that international convention. It's, I think there's a price break that goes until December 15th, and the price goes up after that. We have we have 18 people now registered from the district, and I've had a few people tell me they're going but had not registered. So we'll probably have, I expect maybe 22 people to go to Germany next spring. So I would just kind of encourage everyone, if you've never been to an international convention, I would just encourage you that at some point during your Rotary career that you take the time to go to an international convention, because that's where you will see the international flavor of Rotary. You get to see what you're doing here in Lancaster, and you're doing a lot in Lancaster, but you really get to see what Rotary's done is doing all over the world. and you get to meet Rotarians just like you and would have the same passion in providing service to their communities. If you don't make Germany, you can mark 2020. The 2020 conference is going to be held in Hawaii. So I know some people say that's more exciting than Germany for me. So it's going to be in Hawaii that year. And then following that, I think it's over in Taiwan. So it's going to be, and I don't know where it is after that, but Hawaii is a nice place to visit too. So. Over the past few years, Rotary International has been introducing changes to help clubs continue to be relevant to their communities. And as an organization that's membership driven, we have to continue to change and to evolve as our community and its needs change. Clubs now have much greater flexibility to meet the needs of its members and to attract new members who have a desire and a passion to contribute to and to serve the needs of their communities in ways that work for them. Rotary's changes really were initiated the 2016 Council on Legislation, and this is what it meets once every 3 years. There's a session coming up in April this next spring, and past District Governor Hector Ortiz is going to be our representative to the international, to the Council on Legislation. And there's a number of legislative items that he's currently been reviewing, and we'll be sharing some of those highlights with y'all later on. Rotary has also initiated a strategic planning process more than a year ago to revisit Rotary's strategic plan. This will take about 3 years to complete and allows us to look at our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities and threats that will enable Rotary to thrive in the years ahead. Last year, approximately 30,000 Rotarians, Rotaractors, and alumni participated in the 2017 Triennial Strategic Planning Survey. Following that, focus groups, in-depth interviews, and discussions with Rotarians and non-Rotarians, Rotary leaders, and many others were held to gather more insight. Over the course of these sessions, more than 1 million individuals had the opportunity to provide input. Out of these focus groups, different elements emerged that were then tested around the world to be sure they were culturally appropriate to both a Rotarian and a non-Rotarian audience. These elements became our new vision statement and the first product of this process. Together, we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. Out on the table when you came in, I had left my business card, my Rotary card, but on the back of the card is really what I'd like you to have, and this is the Rotary's new vision statement. And you will hear more about the vision statement as the years go ahead. I think next year, the incoming international president is going to start organizing his goals around this vision statement, but it'll be more predominant in the years ahead. This simple statement captures the essence of Rotary. We unite because we know we are far stronger together than we could ever be alone. We take action because in Rotary, we are not dreamers, we are doers. We are people of action. We work to create lasting change, change for the good, change that will endure long after our involvement has ended, change across the globe and in our communities, reaching out to those we will never meet and those closest to our hearts, and change in ourselves, perhaps the most important of all. Mother Teresa once said, if you want to change the world, go home and love your family, because changing the world starts with changing yourself and working outward from there. Entering the second year of this process, Rotary will begin to test priority concepts that will move Rotary towards our vision statement. These concepts are being tested in every part of the world through additional focus groups to ensure that these concepts resonate in all countries, all languages, and all cultures. In the third year, strategies and tactics will be approved, and clubs and districts will be asked to try them out and provide feedback. Rotarians have made much progress in the 6 areas of focus. peace and conflict prevention and resolution, disease prevention and treatment, water and sanitation, maternal and child health, basic education on literacy, and economic and community development. But there's still much work to be done. Today, 1 billion people still live in extreme poverty. 3 million people die each year for vaccine-preventable diseases. 1 in 9 people are without access to clean water. 2.3 billion people live without adequate sanitation. There's an anonymous quote that says, "If you want to touch the past, touch a rock. If you want to touch the present, touch a flower. If you want to touch the future, touch a life. And when you touch a life, that life will touch you back." When Rotary International President Barry Raskin spoke at the RI convention, he shared a quotation from a French writer that says, "If you want to build a boat, don't begin by collecting wood and cutting boards or assigning tasks. Begin by awakening in the souls of your workers a longing for the vast and boundless sea." Most of us came to Rotary because we had a desire to make an impact, to make a difference in something that was bigger than ourselves. That desire, that vision for a better place is what brought many of us to Rotary. I am asking you to be the inspiration in yourself, in your club, in your community, and around the globe. I want to thank you for being a Rotarian and having a passion for service above self. Thank you. I'm also able to take questions if you have about the district or anything like that. And,